Hello and welcome to YouTube Developers Live. We have an exciting show for you today. My name is Jarek Wilkiewicz. I work for YouTube Developer Relation. And we have a special guest today, Adrian Holovaty, joining us live from Chicago using a Hangout. How are you doing, Adrian?
Hey, good. Nice to be here.
Thank you very much for joining today. Is it snowy out in Chicago?
No, it
Spring has
is not
started.
not snowy. It's all appears to be clear outside today.
Great. So I understand you've been working on a new project for a little while. I know that you are one of the main folks behind Django, but this project is a little different. Is it true?
Yes, it is a tool for musicians. It has absolutely nothing to do with what I did previously, which was a local news site called Every Black, and it uses Django, but it's sort of it's not a web development tool. It's a tool for musicians.
Great. So how did you come up with the idea?
Well, so I spent a lot of my free time trying to basically reverse engineer songs.
Uh-huh.
So I'll have some like jazz solo that I want to learn, and it's not available online anywhere, or it's not in a book that I can buy like sheet music. So I'll just like sit with the recording and try to figure out how to play it, and that's a really laborious process, and it also is really ineffective in terms of learning. So I would like learn a little piece of music from some recording, and I would write it down on a piece of paper so I could preserve what I learned.
Hmm.
But then when I came back to that piece of paper a couple days later, I'd be like, I don't even understand this. And I would have to listen to the original recording along with looking at my notes to actually understand it. So I wanted to make something that marries the recorded music, the actual recording, with the transcription of it, which is the notes that you're playing. And that's what Soundslice does. It's a way uh, of still working on the pitch clearly. It's a way of
You're doing fine.
combining, it's a way of combining sheet music with an actual recording, and specifically using YouTube videos.
Uh-huh.
So you can basically annotate any YouTube video with musical information. You can say like from here to here in the video he's playing an A minor, from here to here he's playing this note or whatever.
So is it fair to say that you created the product for yourself as the main prototypical user, or what was the inspiration?
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely for myself first and foremost. And I think the best stuff is the best products scratch your own itch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's for myself. I've learned a ton of stuff. I play guitar around Chicago, and I'm always looking for like new licks to use in my solos. And
Oh, great.
I've learned like probably more than 100 licks and songs and stuff from it
So why don't we
already.
do this? So I understand you are ready to give us a little demo, are you? And
Yeah,
then after that, I would like to test to see how well your product has served you. And if you wouldn't mind playing something live for us, we would really appreciate it. And I'm sure so would the viewers.
let's do it.
All right, so let's see the
Okay,
demo first.
okay, let me pull this guy up here. Doo-doo. So let's see. Doo. Can you see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome. Well, this is an example of a completed Soundslice transcription. So I have here a YouTube video, which is me playing the Star Spangled Banner. And then here you have a timeline view of the song. So you can just scroll it. You see the notes as they're played in the song. And I'll go ahead and play it so you can see how it all comes together. So I won't play the whole thing. That
Cool.
basically gives you a little taste of it. It's got a lot of UI stuff that I won't go into detail of. You can zoom in, zoom out, see the whole song. Loop sections. So if I want to just focus on this beginning part, da 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 da, I can just highlight that part and play it. And it'll loop it another thing that's really useful for learning a song is slowing it down to half speed without changing the pitch. So I can just click here, and it's super slow. So that's the two core like the two bedrock bits of music transcription, learning a song, are looping sections and slowing it down. So those are the two things I just showed. And the site lets you search for any YouTube video and create these transcriptions that are perfectly synced with them. And that's the quick tour.
Mm-hmm. No, this is great. So a couple of questions. So this transcription process is manual, right? This is something that you rely on the user to do.
Yeah, it's manual because I don't have access to the MP3s of the YouTube videos. I'll be adding a different version, sort of like a pro account that lets you upload an MP3, and then if I have access to the MP3, then I can do an automated first pass at the transcription. I can add a waveform display, which makes it a lot easier to navigate, and a bunch of other stuff. So.
I see. Yeah, correct. We don't have that in the API right now. And then another question I had is, so is this a single user product? Are there any collaboration features, any sharing features?
Oh, good question. So it's sort of half and half at the moment. See here we have tracks. So there's the sections of the song, there's the chords, and then there's the actual notes. Anyone can create a track, or as many tracks as they want, on any YouTube video, but you can only edit a track that you yourself created. So I created these three guys. Nobody else can edit them, but you could go here and add your own thing. So that kind of sucks, because if you see an error in one of my annotations here, there's nothing you can do about it aside from creating your own track and saying, like, hey, if you look above, that's not a G, that should be an F. But I will be implementing a way of collaborating. There's a bunch of different models that I'm looking at, like a GitHub model where you would maybe create a clone of my track and then make some changes and then make a pull request, of course with none of that geeky lingo, or like a Wikipedia model where everything's just open and anything can be edited by anyone and it's really easy to revert. Looking at different ways of doing that. So that's the long answer to your question.
Oh, this is great. Have you received any early feedback from your users? Anything you're willing to share?
Yeah, it's basically been unanimously awesome. Guitarists are saying this is like the best way of learning that they've ever seen, because I mean, when you compare it to the state of the art is like this data here, which is called guitar tablature. That's the name of this if you're not familiar with it. But that's generally available in ASCII text format. So, and it's like kind of really lousy to learn from. Plus, you have the original recording, and the philosophy of the site is that you learn a lot better when you see the notes and you hear them at the same time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, people love it.
Oh, this is great. So now, the second part of this presentation was you showing us how well you were able to improve your skills using your product.
Okay.
So how about that?
Yes, suppose I should get back on the chat. So you want me to play this song, the Star Spangled Banner?
Show us what you got.
Okay, yeah. Guitar out. Hopefully you guys can see it.
Yeah, we can see you fine.
And this will be the short version, not the Super Bowl long extended version, right?
Yes, this will be very short. How's the audio?
You sound amazing, you look amazing.
Yay!
Great. Nice. Well, obviously the product works. So thank you very much for doing this. I know there's a lot of pressure performing live on YouTube in front of millions of users that are watching us right now. Next, I had a couple of technical questions. Can you tell us a little more about how your product is implemented?
Definitely. Let me just adjust the thing here. Well, it uses the YouTube API, and that lets me control the YouTube player from JavaScript and say, obvious things like play and pause. I can do seek to go to this moment in the video, and the looping. So the looping, there's no API for looping in the YouTube API, so I just basically every 20 milliseconds check, is there a current selection? If so, are you within the selection? If not, then go to the beginning of the selection. My patent pending looping algorithm, very complicated. So I do looping. What else is there? The whole app is built in HTML5, and it uses Canvas for everything. So all the tabs, the annotations, that's all drawn on Canvas, 1 pixel at a time. And that's kind of cool. I think that it's one of the most intense uses of canvases in like a real world app that I've seen, on the internet. And what else is about it? The backend is Django, but honestly, the backend is super boring. It just talks JSON to get the annotation data. What else can I tell you about it?
So I had one question. I've noticed you implemented this playback speed, and this is one of the early apps that take advantage of this functionality. Can you tell us a little more about how that works?
Oh yeah, so that's the half speed thing, which is a crucial feature. And the way that works is very easy thanks to your API. All you need to do is say set playback rate, I think that's what it's called, and you give it the number of the playback rate that you want, which for half speed would be 0.5. And you can for a given video, there's an API that tells you which speeds are available, so not all videos have half speed available. And that's basically how it works. You just say set playback rate 0.5, and it just magically works, and I don't have to do anything else, so that's very nice.
Cool.
I would like there to be more granularity in those. Like this is one of my users' top requested features, like a 75% speed.
I see.
I'm actually curious about this. Do you know how that's implemented? Is it re-encoding the video on the fly, I'm assuming?
I don't think so. I think this is something that must be supported by the transcode.
Okay, interesting.
But that's I'll definitely pass that feedback on to the team.
Cool.
Since now that we have a nice use case, I'm sure they're going to be excited to see this. And then you are using the iframe player API. You said it's an HTML5 JavaScript app, right?
Yes, using the iframe API, which puts the video in an iframe in my site and lets me control the JavaScript.
Cool. Are you using the data API at all?
Yeah, I'm using the data API to get the title of the video and the duration, so just boring metadata about it.
Great. And then you said you can annotate arbitrary videos. Is that using the search API, or you have to know the video ID?
Yeah, that's yet another API that I'm using from you guys. It's the search API, so when you do a search on the site, it actually hits YouTube via AJAX and returns all the video results for that search.
Cool.
And then it cross-references it with my own data to tell you whether that particular video has any annotations on it.
Got it. So that's where the transcriptions is stored on the back end in the Django app.
Yes, exactly.
And are you using V2 of the data API or V3?
I think I'm using V3. I developed it a couple months ago, and I used whatever was newest. So
okay. Yeah. So that will be V3.
Okay.
Great.
Cool.
And then you mentioned that you as far as the type of things that come up, playback speed, more granularity was one of the feature requests you have gotten from your users. Is there anything else that surprised you while developing the app? Any other feedback that you would like to share? Anything that was counterintuitive?
Yeah, there's a couple of things, and as a preface to this, I should say I totally understand if you don't want to implement them, because my app, it's like so. It's not a common use of the YouTube API. Let's just say that. One thing is the player, the current position. So as you saw in this demo, the playhead, actually from your perspective, the playhead goes smoothly across the timeline. And to do that, what I do is I ask the YouTube API every couple of milliseconds, what is the current position of the player? And I realized that the API only updates every 250 milliseconds, a couple times a second. And so if I just did that, it would be like boom, 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 boom. It would be very choppy. It wouldn't be nice and smooth. So I have to do some tweening there to update the playhead so that it's nice and smooth between changes of the official value. So all of that is to say, it would be awesome to have more accuracy in those API calls of what is the current position of the playhead. That way I have to do that. And if you pay very close attention to the app, you'll see a little jump or a skip every 250 milliseconds as the thing corrects itself. And that just bothers me. And I mean, for something that's like Soundslice that has a lot of precision, is very oriented around precision, that can be kind of like, oh, I don't trust the app as much as I would, or And a related thing is that when you make a loop on Soundslice, because of my algorithm, it doesn't even deserve to be called an algorithm, but so if you make a loop, when the playhead reaches the end of the loop, it goes back to the start of it. Because it is inexact, I'm just checking every 20 milliseconds. Have you reached the end of the loop? If so, put it back. That means there's a window of 20 milliseconds that you might get a little extra audio or a little too little audio. So if you have a loop that's very small and you listen to the music, you might hear the end of the next note, a little speck of it. You might not hear it. So it's inexact, it's imprecise, and that's bothered a bunch of the users. And from your perspective, what you might do is add a way of adding an end time to the play. So you say, oh, I want to play from here and then end there, and have that ending be very exact. And that way the loops will be super precise.
We have, so the end time, it's actually exposed as a parameter, though it isn't a part of the API, but when you initialize the player, you can actually pass an end time, but then you will have to, I think, tear it down to change it, so that wouldn't work so well. And then definitely going back to a specific position, I think the challenge there is, we are subject to keyframe limitations, so it may not always be super exact, though it sounds like it's sufficient for your for the application with the 20 millisecond or so delta.
Yeah, it's okay. And I think that the coolness and the usefulness of having this available for any YouTube video outweighs those limitations. So I had a previous version of the site that worked on any MP3, and it was completely precise, like down to the level of a frame in an MP3. And it was really nice and precise, but it didn't work on YouTube. It only worked on the files that you uploaded. So it's all about the trade-offs.
Yeah, actually, while you were playing it and showing me the app, I was wondering whether the visual feedback actually also helps with the learning process, like understanding exactly how you gripped the guitar. And I don't play guitar, but I was just wondering whether that actually it's also helpful, right? Because it's like yet another signal for the student.
Definitely the visual. As I've transcribed a bunch of stuff from my favorite guitar players, I'm always looking up at the video, seeing which finger are they using, how's their hand position, also their right hand, are they using a downstroke or an upstroke? That's very important information.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Let me see if we have any questions in the moderator. I see there's one question from me, so I guess I will I'll address that. There's a question about whether YouTube Developer Relations is hiring, and the answer is yes. We are hiring, both YouTube and Google Developer Relations. We're always looking for good people to join our team. If you'd like to learn more, go to developers.google.com/jobs. Again, thank you very much, Adrian. Excellent app. I think I'm going to try it out and see if I can pick up some guitar. Actually, my sister is a guitar player, so maybe I'll join the musical family. Thank you very much again.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.